Hi Equals, it's Kim and this is Kim Perfect TV and welcome. This is my coming out vlog. Alright, so it's my first one and I'm learning and I'm looking forward to many more and all of the wonderful experiences we're going to have together. So today I want to stick with the coming out theme. So why are you talking about coming out? Well, I'm an LGBT advocate. It's what I do. It's what I've done for over a decade. I like talking about it. And so that's what I'm going to do on this vlog. And you're going to help me, hopefully, by telling me what you're interested in hearing about. But for today, I had to pick a subject. So I thought, well, I'm coming out for the first time as a vlogger. So let's talk about coming out. I am part of the LGBT community. I identify as lesbian. In case you don't know, LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. There are also other letters, including Q. But if I have to keep saying all the letters all the time, we'd never get through these videos. So I'm just going to use LGBT as kind of a shorthand for all of them. So back to coming out. First, I'm white, I'm middle class, I'm educated, I have a lot of power and privilege in the world, and I need to say that. Because I don't want anybody thinking that I'm here trying to represent or speak for all LGBT people. I can't. There are way too many of us out there, and we are in all demographics, whether race and religion and national origin and gender and disability and ability and our marital statuses and our military statuses. That said, I do want to talk about coming out a little bit more. So why is it important? Well, for a number of reasons. The main thing is to be authentic, to be truthful. When you have to hide really core things about yourself, like who you love or who you are, from other people in the world, that's hard. It's stressful. I know, I used to do it. And you have to watch all the pronouns you use. And you have to limit what you're talking about. You can't talk too much about what you did on the weekend over the water cooler at work. It's not easy. It's stressful. It's so much easier when you can just be out and truthful. So yeah, there's a lot of good things about coming out. There's also a few things we should keep in mind that are not so good. There's risk attached to coming out. Young people who come out risk being bullied and harassed in school. They risk being thrown out of their homes by hostile parents or other family members. Fortunately for me, my coming out process to my parents and my sister were affirming. That's my understanding of the world, but I also know that that's not the truth for everyone. Okay, let's talk about the other end of the spectrum. Elderly folks. These are folks who, went through the McCarthy era. They went through a time when it was illegal to be LGBT. Your family could have you committed to an insane asylum. This was not good. And they've just now, maybe in their older years, begun to feel safe about coming out, and then they end up in a situation where they're in a facility of some sort, whether it's rehab or a nursing home or a retirement center or assisted living. And now what do you do? Because your health care is on the line. How people are treating you. You don't have a lot of power and privilege when you're in those kinds of situations. And it can be really scary. And a lot of people go back into the closet at those times because the risk is too high. Other people, we still have people who paint nasty words on garage doors. And we have, people who feel free to spew out nasty things as they're driving by you on the street. There's a risk involved with being out, and we need to keep that in mind. Now let me tell you my story of just this. So my dad died a couple years ago, and so he was in the hospital for a lot of weeks prior to that, and I was there, and my family was there, and my wife was there, and because my wife and I are local, we were there the most often. And when you're sitting in a hospital room and doctors and nurses come in, they always want to know who you are in relation to the patient. So I was always introducing myself as the daughter, and Mary, my wife, was introducing herself as the daughter-in-law. Now this was a Catholic hospital, and in my mind, I was a bit concerned about how they were going to react to Mary and I as a same-sex couple and how that might affect my dad's medical care. So my decision at the time was to not tell them, to not come out. And we did that for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. And then one day I happened to be thinking about all of this, and I said to Mary, I said, they all think I have a brother that just hasn't come in yet. And, she nodded, and we're like, yeah, and we kind of chuckled about it. And then not 24 hours later, we were checking my dad into hospice. So this is just a different floor in the hospital. He was too sick to ever leave the hospital. And the chaplain was going through the paperwork, and he went through this series of questions again. So who are you, and who are you? And I'm the daughter. And Mary's like, I'm the daughter-in-law. And he looked straight at me, and he said, where's your brother? I'm like, no, I don't have a brother. We're married to each other. And he was like, oh. And you could tell he didn't know what to do with that. And he looks down at his paperwork, and he kind of mumbles for a moment, and then he looks back up, and he goes on with his questioning. And I was like, okay, this guy was not prepared for that answer. And he really should have been. Now, and that would be part of the purpose of this vlog, would be to help folks like that chaplain prepare themselves. Now, maybe not this episode so much, but maybe a later episode, and that would be a good place for somebody to put a comment below of what you'd like to see here. If you'd like to see more of this, if you'd like to hear more about LGBT issues, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and come back next time.